Dream big, never stop dreaming, because you can do whatever that you want as long as you believe in your dreams.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Dare to Dream Productions podcast. Today we have a special guest and a friend of mine. Please welcome Curtia Torbert. She's a local Chicago actress who works on a lot of shorts, commercials, and a TV series documentary. You can see her in my upcoming Black Mirror-inspired sci-fi short, Perry Mortem, as the main character, Ophelia Collins. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So today I wanted to focus on what it's like to be an actress during this pandemic. So what projects have you been working on?
Right now, everything is very slow. Before the shutdown, I was working on a feature that we had already started the rehearsal process for, but now we're still kind of like in limbo. So a lot of the productions have kind of been dealt those cards where you're just like in waiting. Luckily, the commercial industry is still fairly up and running. A lot of changes, especially with the top of the shutdown, the top of the pandemic, the way commercials were being produced is so different from how it usually is. So usually, of course, you get cast and you get your sides or your script and you go on set for a couple of days. But because people can't go out, a lot of states at the time had been completely shut down. You would see a lot of voiceovers and a lot of stock footage, and that's what even now, if you turn on the TV, a lot of commercials are still doing stock footage. So the voiceover industry was booming. I'm not a voiceover artist. I've dabbled in it, but the voiceover artists were really, really working. Of course, you can't really sustain on that. You know, a lot of viewers really appreciate the actor, the person that they see and hear. So after that stint, commercials really moved towards filming from home. So I participated in a couple of auditions with that. Unfortunately, I wasn't casting anything. So now also, if you turn on the TV, a lot of commercials are, I think even a lot of phone commercials like Verizon and iPhone commercials, they have like keep in touch with your family, social distancing, thank goodness for FaceTime, things like that. So they really use their product to support keeping in touch during the coronavirus pandemic. And finally, now that we have the industry and the country has started opening up a little bit more, I've been able to participate actually on set commercials. And with these commercials, they still include the coronavirus reality. So in some form or some way, they incorporate masks. So if you're spending time with family or you attend a small gathering, we would film a normal, quote unquote, normal commercial, and then a second take with the coronavirus social distancing standards. So we always have those two options for when it actually airs on TV.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Everything has changed.
So what's it like to be on set? Do you have to wear a mask, and is there social distancing?
Yeah, so this commercial that I filmed not too long ago, I actually filmed in just the past few weeks. So of course, before you agree to go, I mean, for every commercial, there's like an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that you don't share information regarding the production until obviously it's released. But now there's an entire contract that involves just health. So your temperature, have you been sick in the last 14 days? Have you been around anyone who is sick in the last 14 days? You know, these guidelines, the coronavirus guidelines that we have to abide by. So on set, every so often we have to get our temperature taken, and we must wear masks right until we start filming, unless there's a take where it requires a mask. And then while we're in holding, we have to social distance. It's very interesting how before, when I've been on productions, you have someone who handles your makeup and someone else who handles your hair and someone else who handles your wardrobe and someone else, like even maybe the director, the photographer, like says like, oh, I just want to fix something on her shirt or something. Like this time, everything was handled by one person. It was to limit how many people we come in contact with. So there was one person who was only allowed to basically touch me. She was the one who handled hair, makeup, wardrobe, and then if there was anything in the shop that needed to be adjusted, the director had to let her know to adjust for me. You know, you're so excited to have this opportunity and to do with you what you love, but there's still like anxiety, or this, you know, there's still, you know, people on set, and I hope I don't get sick, and you know, I can definitely be accountable for myself and staying healthy, but how accountable are these people that I'm working with? So there's still definitely a level of anxiety and consciousness of the reality of the times, but just leaning more into taking those precautions and really making sure I'm doing all that I can do to stay safe. That's all you can do.
It sounds like they're handling it pretty safe. But yeah, definitely having that anxiety, I could imagine. Because even like when you're not acting, just like walking around downtown Chicago, there's still like anxiety.
Yeah.
Do they make you take a COVID test before like auditioning or before even like going on to set?
No, I haven't heard of any production requiring a COVID test. And personally, I haven't ever been required to take a COVID test. I think that's pretty difficult to enforce, because it's not free for everyone. Depending on your location, it is like how long will you get the results back? Personally, I've taken two COVID tests, both of which came back negative. I still have a survival job as well, so I share that with my employer. And then, of course, if I'm ever going out into the world, I would share it, and I'm sure they appreciate it, but that's never been a request.
Is there anything you think directors should do to make their actors feel safer on set?
With my recent personal experience, I don't think there's anything that anyone on set could have done differently to make me feel uncomfortable. I definitely felt comfortable while I was there. Our contract that came out ahead of time, and that also was very clear that everyone on set would be expected to uphold these requirements. Everyone would be taking these self-checks and temperature checks. So that was really appreciative. And then everyone wore a mask on set, always. Of course, the talent, me, when we had takes where we had to remove the mask, we didn't, but all of the crew wore masks. We were constantly asked, do you feel comfortable? Like, I mean, we had, you know, different scenes and different location shots within the area. And we were always asked, is it okay? Do you mind taking off your mask? And it was like, we just did like an hour or 2 hours of shooting. Like, yeah, I took off my mask for them. But, you know, I appreciate it. And they were very transparent and very aware of our needs and wanted to be very respectful of our comfort. I don't know what else a director could do or should do other than the amazing experience that I had. What would you do?
I think I would definitely check on everyone, like, throughout the day. And yeah, it's just hard because, like, especially because if you're shooting like a romance film, which I was actually supposed to shoot one during like this summer, and now I'm thinking I don't think that's safe because like with the masks and everything, like even if they were to take them off and they had COVID tests, there's still like a risk.
Well, here's something that a lot of productions are doing, especially commercials. They're asking people to audition if it's a pair or a family or a couple. They're asking them to audition together. So if there was a couple who were kissing, obviously they would rather cast a real life couple who have been quarantined together or do live together, so there wouldn't be any discomfort of, you know, being close to someone they don't know or they're not familiar with.
Yeah, that sounds smart, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it like right now applying for acting jobs? Has the demand like decreased, do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, I'm not a voiceover artist. I'm not a voiceover actress. The demand for them has shot way up. Like, they are working. They're turning work away. My work has decreased, obviously, and the other industry, the voiceover industry, has increased. And another thing, because so many projects are casting families or couples, I live alone in Chicago. I live completely alone. also like that had been difficult to get casting projects. Luckily, I did this commercial with my nephew. He is 4 months old now, and luckily the commercial was filming in his home state, not here in Illinois, but I was able to work as a local hire there, and they were casting for a mother and son. And I mean, he's my nephew, we look alike. So I really lucked out with that one. If I wasn't able to be cast with my nephew, I most likely wouldn't have been cast. And it's an opportunity to dabble in voiceover training, a lot of training classes, and I always recommend actors and artists to continue training. There's no point where we're just like, oh, I'm good. You know, there's always going to be someone who's training and learning new skills and techniques, and they're going to surpass you. So as far as training, a lot of training has gone virtual as well. And a lot of that training is focused on voiceover training, just because of that's what's casting right now. And it's most likely that's what's going to be cast for the next few months, like few months to a year.
Wow. Is there any training in Chicago you'd recommend for actors here?
Blue Door Collective, and they just changed their name. I want to say they're the Forge now, let me be sure, but they have voiceover training. Yeah, the Forge Chicago, and not only voiceover training, they have screenwriting training, they have production training, they have acting 101 and master classes. They are really, really like, I guess the full circuit of filmmaking. And I had done a few workshops with them, and on their Facebook page, they also have some free courses as well. I think I shared one of them with you. I think it was a production one.
I think so, because it sounds familiar.
I think it was Blue Door Collective at the time. But they're really great. And then there's another class, another organization. Let's see. I can't find it right now, but I want to say it's like Acting Studio Chicago. I think it's what it's called. And they have a lot of voiceover courses too.
So we're in a kind of like a weird phase right now because shelter in place like is over with, but now like people are still staying inside. But how was your shelter in place? What did you do during that time?
Oh gosh, that was hard emotionally. I mean, especially someone like me who already suffers from like bouts of depression and anxiety. Like just the smallest triggers will send me into like chaos. That first few weeks of the mandatory stay-at-home order was really hard for my psyche. And especially, I live alone. All of my family is in the South. My husband is away for military duty. So reading, praying, over time, I realized walking, just like short, brisk walks, are really helpful. Just that little bit of exercise, the sunlight, talks with family, friends, therapy, all of that together has proven really helpful. Still, you have your hard days and you have your good days, but it's all about like managing it, and exercise was really good. So since the stay-at-home order, I have gotten involved with online exercising. So I just do it in my living room, and I'm able to sleep a little bit better at night after that. So just taking it one day at a time and knowing that it's not just me, that everybody is having to deal with this, and somewhere or another, people aren't able to work or pay their bills, and they're dealing with illnesses because of the COVID, or, otherwise, there are people who are sick that are afraid to go to the hospitals because they don't want to contract COVID. So just, breathing and meditating and taking it easy and just reminding myself that, it could be worse. Sometimes that self, that inner thought, those inner thoughts, that inner monologue doesn't always, get me up out of bed and like I'm full of energy, but it does help just remembering those things.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard time to like live alone right now, I can imagine. And just, yeah, it seems like we're dealing with not just the pandemic, but like a historical revolution, kind of, and just like all this stuff with the president, and it's just been a hard time. But I think there's a lot of positive change happening too, especially with like police brutality and like new laws being in effect for that. So
it's definitely a momentous year. I mean, when you think about what could happen, everything is happening. Everything.
If there's an apocalypse in 2020, I wouldn't be shocked.
Me neither. It's like the largest civil rights movement. Gay pride is at an all-time awareness. A historic election. Of course, the coronavirus, the pandemic. I mean, what else can happen?
I hope something positive. So what do you think the future of film sets look like? Do you think these are temporary regulations or permanent?
Maybe a mix of both. You know, people talk about this new normal. I definitely think people are going to be a lot more conscious of health and safety, not just in the industry, but like in everyday life. You know, there was this running joke on social media, and it was saying like, you all wait till a pandemic to realize you need, like, how do you wash your hands or something like that. But you know, people like my little cousins, they will wash their hands and they'll sing happy birthday while they're washing it now. And I think, and their kids, they're 6, 4, and 2. So that's just a normal that they're going to grow up, you know, in 20 years, they're just going to be doing. And I don't know about, maybe masks are going to be the normal. I know in a lot of other countries, you know, people, the general public have been wearing masks for years. So maybe that's something that's going to be new. Maybe it'll be a new normal to always take your temperature. But as far as, you know, like signing contracts about being sick, maybe they'll include those in contracts instead of having like a totally separate contract. I don't know about like, you know, fever and all of that. I'm not sure. But I do think that the industry is going to morph into something like a combination of, you know, what we had before versus what we have now. But I just can't imagine continuing on like this forever. Yeah. It would be, it's difficult to imagine. Even like post-production, when you're talking about the release of films, you know, a lot of production companies, because they are not releasing films in theaters, they're going straight to digital. Now, it was a movie theater that said that they're no longer releasing this production's films in theaters, or they're not showing them like as long. So a lot of films are going straight to DVD or straight to digital a lot faster. And then a lot of companies also, because they were forced to go straight to digital, they realized that it was a lot higher viewer rate. So I feel like we're learning a lot. We're learning all of these new opportunities that we're kind of forced into that we wouldn't have realized otherwise.
I could definitely see that, especially because like people are staying at their homes, and you save a lot of money like streaming things compared to going to the movies. But again, like going to the movies and seeing something on a big screen with a crowd of people is like amazing. And especially when you have like you as an actor, like me as a director, like you see yourself on screen, and it's like a feeling and of accomplishment. And I just hope like movie theaters never go obsolete, because that would be really sad, especially for like people in the film industry. Yeah, definitely. There's this camaraderie when you can like sit in a huge room full of people and just laugh and cry at the same things. You know, someone could be rows away, but there's this connection to the, you know, this other film watcher, this appreciation that you all are sharing together. And to think that could be gone is really sad. Drive-in theaters are coming back. Yeah. That's really cool. It's interesting. Have you been to one yet? No, I haven't, no. Have you? I want to go. We should do it. We should get the Perry Mortem, like the crew members and everything to go. Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be a fun outing. So what's next for you? I don't know. I don't know, taking it one day at a time. As you know, I was writing a film, my first short. So I'm still in the rewrites for that. My goal, so I first started writing it in January or February of this year, and I had hoped to get it produced by the end of the year, and then Corona happened and was just like, that's not feasible.
So I'm thinking of maybe adapting it to short story, or maybe I can just put it on hold till next year. And then also really interesting, there was this TV show, I want to say All Rise. This TV show, All Rise, I think it aired on CBS. They were the first TV show to have a coronavirus-centered plot. And they did it completely from the actors' homes. So they incorporated Zoom or video chat features, and they toyed with the idea of holding an entire trial or an entire court hearing via video. Like, how could we do this? Is it legal, or will it work? And it was really interesting seeing the possibilities of could that really happen in real life. But it sparked something in me. Would I be able to produce, let's say, a romance film or something completely on video? How would that look? Say, I was thinking of plot ideas about, a girl wanting to video chat a guy. She calls and she hangs up, or she calls and then you hear the do and the thing spinning, and it's like all of these things going in her mind. Like, is she gonna answer? Oh, there was a film. I don't know if you've seen it. It was completely video. It was completely like maps and like the Zoom chats and Apple chat messaging. It was really good.
What's it called?
Let me see. It was really good.
There's been a few of the like online movies, like The Den, and then this really good horror movie that's all through the laptop, and it's called Searching, and it's about like...
I'm thinking about with the girl and the dad.
Yes.
Yes, it was so good.
Yeah, I don't know. No one has ever heard of it. It's very underrated, I feel like.
It is. It's really underrated. I think is it an indie?
I think it is indie, yeah.
It was really, really good.
I hope it's won awards, because I think, like, it made me freak out because it feels like you're kind of in the movie because it's on, if you watch it on your laptop, it feels like you're part of the film, which I like.
Right.
And I think, honestly, Curtia, you could, like, do the short film idea that you wrote. I think you could do that through Zoom, or, like, have her, like, talking to her best friend instead of on the phone on Zoom. Mm-hmm. And I think it might be interesting. Yeah, I think you should pursue that.
Yeah, I'll toy with it. Yeah, it's hard to concentrate. Like, I mean, all these self-help things that you do, like, exercise and you take walks and you read and you write to, get through the day. And it really is hard to sometimes just like concentrate, for me at least. Like, I had to deactivate my social media for a minute. I consciously didn't turn on the TV for about 5 days because it was just like coronavirus and police brutality. That's the only thing that was coming into my mind. So just gotta unplug and like not think.
Yeah, I cannot stand the news. It gives me a headache, and it's just like a lot of negativity, I feel like. So I don't watch the news, but I definitely get it from like online and social media, of course. But there's definitely like the coronavirus fatigue that they're calling it, is like a lot of people are just exhausted. And I think it's also because everyone's on technology like 8 hours a day, even more, especially like if you work from home, you're on the computer screen all the time. And how much interaction do you get with real people, And I think like as we're human beings, like I feel like we still need that human connection, like face to face and like physical touch, even like hugging. Like, it's so sad. Like we had a family gathering a few weeks ago with like 5 people, but yeah, no one hugged each other, and it was just sad. Like, some of my relatives are getting old, like it's a rough time. But
I talked to my grandma yesterday. And she's so sweet. And I was saying, Grandma, how you been? She was like, oh, I'm fine. Just happy to be alive. And she's 96.
Wow.
And she always casually mentions her age whenever she talks to us. Oh, just thanking God for the 96 years I've been here. Like, okay, I get you bragging. I get you. Okay. All right, Grandma. And she's going to be 97 in August. So just a couple more weeks, yeah, like 3 weeks, and she's gonna be 97. But she's doing good, and she is isolated, and she's down south again, the rest of my family. But whenever my mom or her kids or friends go to visit her, everyone sits outside, social distancing. But I think it's been a while since she's had a hug, and it's really sad.
Yeah. Hopefully in a few more weeks or like months, this will be somewhat kind of like down, like all the numbers will be down, and hopefully get back to like somewhat normal.
I'm nervous about school, like classes, like students, kids.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We're all online for the fall semester, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, a lot of schools are like that.
Yeah, it's just like crazy because I'm in production 2, which is like we're supposed to be making short films, and I don't know how that's going to be taught online, like especially not everyone has access to like even a DSLR camera, so I don't know. Everyone's going to be using their phones making short films. I don't know how it will work, but maybe that will challenge us.
The first film, have you seen, I think it's called Tangerine. Is that what it's called?
I haven't seen it, but I want to. Yeah, it looks good.
The first film shot completely with iPhone, I want to say.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You could definitely find Curtia's social media and backstage if you'd like to hire her in the description below. She's extremely talented and a joy on set, so definitely hire her. Thank you again.
Thank you, and I'm also on Actors Access and Casting Networks.